Hello, everybody. Welcome back. And guess what? Today's all about free stuff. If you wanted free stuff, this is the right place to be because I'm going to do free stuff. Flash Gordon, and it's free. So we're going to have a bit of a discussion. I'm going to show you a lot of stuff. So grab some food, some drink, make sure you are comfortable. I'm going to put up a poll as well, so feel free to take part in that. I can see that Fred Hubbard is here, and Michael is also here, Michael Stan. Thank you for joining me. Now, this is my endeavor to give you as many free supplements that are fan-made, that aren't made by anybody who's actually getting any money out of this. And I'm hoping you enjoy this. Anyway, let's get started, shall we? There's no time to waste. Hi, welcome to How to RPG. My name is Fred Wheeler, and today I want to talk about Flash Gordon. That's right, Flash Gordon. What does Flash Gordon got to do with role-playing games? Well, as it happens, right now, if you have a look on the internet, you will find that there is a free Flash Gordon 5e compatible supplement. That's right, it's been made for Dungeons & Dragons 5e. So completely free, fan-made, for Flash Gordon 5e compatible, and that document is in a PDF, and I'm going to go over what's in that PDF for you today. So first off, it is called Flash Gordon Adventures on Mongo, D&D 5e. Now, Ronnie Hart has written, compiled, and designed the supplement. The whole book is well designed. It's semi-professional. I wouldn't say it's a professional document, but it's good enough. There are 38 pages in the PDF. So it's very, very short. It's not a really big document. The artwork illustrations are in full color, and they have been taken from old comic book art panels. So it's not like somebody's actually created art for this. They have been taken from existing comic book panels that have been created in the past. There are no maps provided in the supplement, so you'd have to create your own or find your own. There's no contents table or contents page. There's no index in the back of the supplement, which unfortunately does make it a little bit hard to find things on various pages. But because it's 38 pages, it's not that difficult. There is a brief explanation about what you can find in the supplement. So I think the first couple of pages sort of explain roughly what you'll find in the following pages. There is a brief overview of Earthlings and the planet Mongo, which is provided so you have some sort of context if you're not familiar with Flash Gordon as a role-playing setting, or you're not familiar with Flash Gordon full stop. Character creation for a Flash Gordon campaign is explained with the restrictions and the additional options available. So there are some restrictions if you're playing in a campaign setting like this, but there's a lot of additional options that you would not normally have. New races have been created with some reskinning from Dungeons & Dragons 5e, but the choices are, and these are exclusively, this is it, this is the list. The Blue Magic Man, I'm not even going to explain that. The Carillion, the Dwarf, Earthling, which is basically human, Giant, Hawkman, yes, Lion Man, Lizard Man, Mongo, Robot, and Shark Man. There's a lot of mans in here, okay? This is from an older time, people. Now, there are also a large range of backgrounds, completely new backgrounds that have been made specifically for Earthlings and natives of Mongo, or the planet Mongo. And these are the athlete, citizen, crime fighter, criminal, diplomat, the driver, I'm not even sure what that is, engineer, entertainer, escaped slave, guardsman, investigator, medic, merchant, miner, earthling pilot, and then Mongo pilot, which are actually different. Although they have similar names, they do have different features. You have the priest, the rebel, the earth scientist, and the Mongo scientist, which are different again, soldier and tribesman. So these have been made specifically for whether you're playing a native of Mongo or an Earthling. Okay, there are new classes to select from. So these are the Champion, the Huntsman, the Mongomancer, the Mongotech, the Scion, and the Scoundrel. Now, when I give you these classes, as these are some of the new options available, in terms of whether you want to include other things from D&D 5e, it doesn't sort of support that much. I think what it's trying to do is say these are the classes for the setting. So there are 6 choices, and they have been built pretty extensively. They have similarities to some of the other classes, but not exactly. Types of magic, spell casting, power crystals, because you have power crystals in Flash Gordon, rituals and spell lists have all been detailed in the document. So there is a Mongo-themed equipment list. There is gear, clothing, drugs. Yes, you get drugs in this game. Weapons, armor, and it's extensively detailed. So there's a lot of extensive information on the types of equipment and gear you can get in the game in this setting. Yes, there are firearms, and yes, you can have a ray gun or a laser pistol. They do exist, but they also have some very unusual laser pistols or ray guns in the game as well. A range of rather odd animals and mounts or creatures that you can ride around on are also included with a stat block. And I would say this is one of those documents which is really intended to be enough to get by. Like you can play in that setting and campaign, and it won't be too much of an issue, without too much trouble, without having to remember a lot of stuff, and without having to read a lot of material. So it's pretty to the point, let's just say. So look, I'm hoping that you find this useful and helpful, and if you did, fantastic. I want to thank you for watching, and I want to thank my patrons who support me. I would also like to thank Ronnie. Ronnie, well done. Thank you for creating this, and thank you for making it free, because of course you had to, because you don't have the licensing for the IP Flash Gordon, which is understandable. In any case, thank you, and hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s. Give me a second, people. I'm going to drink some water. Now, I said I would show you. I would show you the document, and yes, I will. I will show you the document, but first we will go to the chat and see what we have here. I am aware that there's a few people who probably aren't aware what Flash Gordon is, and apparently right now everybody here generally knows who Flash Gordon is. Okay, out of the 4 votes we have. I mean, let's get real. Flash Gordon is really just a rip-off of John Carter, The Princess of Mars, Edgar Rice Burroughs' story of John Carter. I really feel like that's where Flash Gordon came from. And no doubt Buck Rogers is kind of in the same sort of vein, but not quite, because he's in a different era and he looks a bit different, doesn't he? He's a bit more of a modern version of it. Anyway, I like Flash Gordon a lot, even though the older movie was very, very campy. It was a cheap movie to make, okay? It wasn't a huge thing. Now, you will find the document down in the description, and I probably should have said that when I was doing my presentation, but if it's not obvious, grab the document. It's down there, okay? You can't go wrong. Exactly. That's right. Vorth is right. You can't go wrong. It's a free document. You don't have to pay for it. And look, I did check to make sure you would not pick up a virus, and as far as I can tell, I don't have one after downloading it. So that's good news, right? I have tested it. Now, Fred makes the point that, Flash Gordon, being a football player, apparently Flash Gordon, when he gets caught almost every single time, and then there's a monologue, and then he's taken off to be executed, but escapes somehow miraculously with the girl. Like every alien girl on Mongo, he's probably shacked up with at some point. So yeah, I think this is a product of male fantasies. Frankly, it's like we just got to find as many as we possibly can. Anyway. Michael Stannard's here. Thank you. Michael's a patron. Thank you for being here today. Next, the Buck Rogers supplement, which would be essentially the same, but with this with some guy who was frozen for 500 years. Yeah, exactly. Now, I don't know that I found a Buck Rogers free supplement that was a 5-year compatible product. If I do, and I hadn't thought about it, did I think about looking for Buck Rogers? I didn't. I don't know if I did, but it's a good idea. So Flash Gordon is really a combination of fantasy, and there's a bit of there's definitely magic involved. Like, Ming the Merciless has certainly got a very magical aspect to him, but also a very science aspect to him as well. But there's the combination of high-tech science and fantasy and magic, which is an interesting combination, frankly. I always kind of like the idea. So, yeah, grab the document because it's worth it. Okay, right. So, free 99 is the best price. Yeah, free. Exactly. Free is always the best price. So, I'm going to open up the chat and we're going to go through this document now. And I'll keep an eye on what you guys are all saying. Ladies and gentlemen, I am paying attention to you. I haven't ignored you. What do you got here? Flash Gordon serials shown before main feature at the theatre were even more campy than the movie. Yeah, I can believe it. I always ended with him getting caught. Will he escape? Come back for next week's episode. Do you remember when we used to have cartoons when you go to the theatre before you watch the movie? Instead of a gazillion different trailers for different movies and ads, you'd watch a animated cartoon. I remember those days. I really enjoyed that. Anyway, let's go through the document, because that's why you're here. For me to talk about something that you probably don't need me to talk about, but I am. I'm just flagging this, baby. I want you to go check it out. That's the whole point of all of this, people. If you hadn't figured it out, I just want you to go and check it out. Anyway, let's do this. Let's make sure my head isn't too big. Here we go. In fact, I'll probably wind up. I think I should just move my head over here, because then I can make it bigger again when I want to. There we go. Let's do this. Here we go. Here it is. This is what I've been talking about. This is it. Now, it looks like a comic book. Okay, it literally looks like a comic book. And it looks like a very grainy comic book too. You've got to understand that Flash Gordon is it's a very old IP. So I would imagine, since they didn't have, it's pretty clear when you go through the document that they don't have a lot of skill in terms of laying things out, and they've done the best they can. Ronnie's obviously done the best he can. It's still a usable document as far as I'm concerned. Okay, it's not like it's a waste of your time. How's it going, Shiner81? Yeah, I'm getting my nostalgia on. Remember, I'm almost 52. I am 51 now, and I will be 52 in about a month. Actually, less than a month now. God, in less than a month I'll be 52. Jeez. All right. Okay. So that's a scary thought. Anyway, I'm going to sort of zoom in a bit more so you can see a bit closer, and so that I can actually see it too, because my eyes are getting old. He says. Okay. So let's have a closer look at this. Can I go in any further, or there's any point? I don't know. No, I think that's probably close enough. You'll let me know if I need to zoom in more. Early 1930s for the serial led to leading into at the theatres. Oh, okay. All right. Okay. So let's have a look at this. So as I said, really the first couple of pages are like copyright stuff, disclaimers, introduction, tells you what's in the book, but it's not really a contents page because it doesn't have page numbers. You could say, okay, yes, races, page 6, all new classes, page 17, but there's quite a few different classes, so it's not your standard contents page. Yeah, no feats or multi-classing. This person, Ronnie, has clearly decided that he did not want to have feats and multi-classing in the game. Like what you do with your game is up to you. So this is the vibe he's gone for. Instead of like saying, okay, all this stuff is off the cards, and we're going to take just a small selection of D&D stuff. Now, what he's done is he simply built a lot of stuff. Like for 38 pages, there's a lot of stuff here available to you as an option. So backgrounds, he's given you at least the page that it starts on, and then he goes into sort of a little bit of explanation, not a huge amount. He's trying to make this document as self-contained as possible. So yeah, so this is not like a true, weapon properties 32 equipment. He does give you page numbers, but it's not like a true indication of a table of contents. Then there's a journal about Earthlings to sort of get your head in the right space. The knockout blows explained, which is basically just a section out of the player's handbook. And then we go into what actually happened, and the planet Mongo. There's an overview, shorter days, your goal. So it's very, very simple. That's it. Like there's not much to it. I'm 51, 52. I'd have pinged like maybe what? Yeah, no, I'm not. Remember, I don't have children, so I don't have those stresses. so creating a PC or a character, what he's done is he's laid out the steps so it's nice and simple, and he's given you page numbers to refer to when you're going through and creating it. One of the things that I was able to do was I was able to use this page to actually lay out what I was going to talk about. So a lot of what I just talked about is simply just summarizing this one page, which is quite useful. So if you look at it in terms of the player's handbook, I suppose you're getting half the number of playable classes that you would normally get, because I think his intention is that you only use the 6 classes that he's created: the champion, the huntsman, the Mongomancer, the Mongotech, the Scion, and the scoundrel. And you can play a robot. You can play an Earthling. You can play a different species. So there's quite a few. I mean, he's included probably more different races than the player's handbook has, and it's very much tailored to playing in the Flash Gordon setting. Yeah. And then backgrounds, he's gone kind of bananas because there's a lot here. And even if you see one that looks familiar, like the background for the Earthling athlete is not the same as the athlete that you're used to in any other supplement for 5e. It's different. Okay, it is different. So miscellaneous details that he explains, and then you get equipment and classes listed. Okay, so moving on. So the races. So you might notice like a lot of the artwork itself is obviously been ported over. It's not necessarily high resolution artwork or anything like that. But I have to say, in terms of the text, although it's not your standard text that you see, he's gone from a different feel. It's still very clear and neat and tidy. It's not all smudged or anything like that. It's just clearly that the artwork that he's had to pull from has not been high resolution artwork that he's drawing in. But everything's laid out exactly the way you normally would in terms of your blue magic man and your Corellian traits. It's all laid out. And I looked at them and I thought, okay, they kind of fit quite nicely. They didn't feel out of place when I was looking at this. Crystal sensitivity. You'll find out more about crystals once you start playing the game. But these are like crystal sensitivity for the blue magic man, the Corellian. There are some sub races here, so even though I mention, there are, even though I mention the races, there are sort of some variants within that as well. Dwarf. So, for example, the mountain dwarf is not the same mountain dwarf as the one you get in Dungeons and Dragons 5e. Okay, so if you thought it would be exactly the same, it's not. It has been slightly adjusted. And then you get the green dwarf. So that's not something you'll be familiar with. Earthling looks very, very similar to a human variant, but not. Okay, there is some differences. Something like gravitationally graced is certainly different. Because Mongo has got 1/2 the diameter of Earth, so it's got a slightly weaker gravity. It means that your proficiency bonus doubles for any kind of strength or athletics check you make. So as an Earthling, you're stronger on Mongo, which is actually kind of interesting because it's exactly the same sort of thing when you take John Carter from Earth going to Barsoom or Mars. John Carter was stronger when he was on Barsoom or Mars. So that's why that's why I'm going to joke about that sort of thing, because it's definitely there's definitely inspiration or some copying taking place with regard to that. You have the giant. If you wanted to play a giant, you can, and it's not the same giant you're used to. It'll look a little different, and it depends on what type of giant you are. So there are some variations on that. The Hawkman, and you might be familiar with the Hawkman who has wings from the movie. Well, yes, you can fly, and your speed is actually pretty fast. Like, you can fly 40 feet. And it fits for this realm because there's a lot of sky cities. There's a lot of, like, getting from one location in Mongo to another usually requires a spaceship or flying. So Hawkman makes a lot of sense. We have the Lion Man, which is basically a humanoid lion. We have the Lizard Man. And yes, that's one character that Flash Gordon was never able to save, was the Lizard Man in the movie. He died. He was vaporized. So yes, I had a look at all of them and I thought they all work really well. I like the fact they've included you can play a robot. So for those of you who would like to play a robot, you can. And it's pretty extensive, the robot, frankly. The Mongo is really they are almost identical to a human, but they have different skin color or hair or eye color. And there are different variations depending on the culture on Mongo. That sort of indicates these are all the races that were conquered by Ming over time. So yes, and Ming has been around a long time. Anyway, moving down, Shark Man is included if you want to play a shark. And yes, you can swim. It would make no sense if you were playing a Shark Man and you couldn't swim. And you swim fast, 40 feet, it's pretty quick. So yeah, he's done a really good job of laying them out. So even though it might seem semi-professional, it's actually pretty easy to understand and figure out, and it's actually pretty well constructed. Not bad, really. Next, the athlete backgrounds. All the backgrounds for the Earthlings are all in one place, and then you get the Mongo backgrounds in another section. Okay. I'm not going to go over all of these. I just wanted to shuffle through these fairly quickly. Medic, entertainer. I did have a brief look through all of them, and honestly, I think Ronnie has actually he knows what he's doing. He really does. Then we have the Mongo natives. So if you're playing like a robot, then you might use one of these backgrounds. I'm still of the opinion that it would be nice to just create your own background, because there are, the default is going to become you make your own background, and these are the criteria or things you can pick from. And I think that's a very smart idea. It already exists in the Player's Handbook for 5e, and since this is supposed to be compatible, it is completely compatible with that. Yeah. Right, now, classes. You'll find the classes are laid out very simply. The champion here looks very similar to the fighter champion that you find in the Player's Handbook for 5e. I think what he's done here is he's taken out a lot of the wording that might sort of suggest that he's simply copying directly. And what he's done is he's simply put in the game mechanics. Here's the level, this is the game mechanic, that's it. He hasn't attached a name to it. He hasn't said what it is. And so I think most of this is pretty much ported over from there. Okay. Then we have the Huntsman, new class. You'll find almost all the classes, I'm pretty sure actually, I think all the classes, they all fit on one page. So you only need one page to reference the entire thing. And there's nothing missing. Like, it's all there. There's just no artwork. So if you're looking for artwork, no. The Mongomancer fits on one page, and I guess the Mongomancer, the best way to explain the Mongomancer is it's essentially a spellcaster. It's your wizard. It's just called the Mongomancer. Yep. Mongotech. Mongotech's a little bit different. I feel like the Mongotech is like a combination of rogue and something else. So he's definitely done something else here with it. So it's kind of its own entity. The Scion, for those of you who are getting excited and thinking, oh, we've got Scion now as a class, we can play a Scion. Well, yeah, yes and no. It is a short form Scion. This is not a full blown system we're talking about here. Yeah. But the whole thing is there. It's included. It's pretty easy to follow. And then you have the Scoundrel. So I think the intention is that if you're playing somebody like Flash Gordon, you'd be the champion. And if you were a Scoundrel, you might be somebody like, I don't know, who would be a good example of this? Yeah, actually, I can't think of anybody right now. There's plenty of corruptive characters on Mongo, and plenty on Earth too, so that's not going to be a problem. Spellcasting, they give you a basic breakdown. Spellcasting and magic is tied to crystal magic, and there's weird science and scions. So there's three different types of magic going on here. You have the power crystals, you have science, and you have psionics. Okay, and then it gives you the progression for anybody who's playing a class that would have that sort of ability. And this is going to be your Mongomancer. But it would also relate to the Mongotech character to a certain degree as well. Yep. Okay, spell slots. This is sort of more of a breakdown of some of the basic stuff you find in the player's handbook, but just tailored for the Flash Gordon setting. And where is it? An example. They give you an example of how... that's right. So the Mongotech is about science. So Mongotechs are the ones who are potentially going to be using or have access to jury-rigged equipment, and also the ability to use like laser pistols or potentially make your own device. So a weird science device, and I think there's a couple of examples here if I remember right. Okay, so we've got the Mongotech spell list. Yes, that's right. You have weird science devices. So it's kind of open to the idea that your science may consist of, or your spells consist of, like a ray gun that does something, like a freeze gun might be a cone of cold, or you might be using an earthquake device or something like that. So yeah, time stop, all of these sorts of things are kind of connected to your magic in terms of a device. That's the Mongotech. Scion spellcasting spell list is included, so you know exactly what they are. You'll notice the lists are taken from the player's handbook, and these lists are quite short. They're not extensive. Ronnie's obviously selected the ones he thought was suitable for that setting. We go into the equipment section, and this is all fairly basic stuff. But anything that would be related and make sense to exist on Mongo or as part of sort of the Flash Gordon campaign setting is included. So your leather armor, your diving suits and helmets, electro shields, ray-proof armor, so you don't want to get rayed or disintegrated, backpacks, canteen, climbing gear, stuff like that. Flash torch, a flashlight. Flying belts, yes, you can actually get a device that allows you to fly. Gem cutting tools, grappling hook and line, lanterns, lockpicks, so forth. So there's a bunch of stuff. That parachute, yes, you'll need a parachute. And the radio phone is basically your communication device, right? So this is like your sending stone. Scopes. and then your adventuring gear. And each one of them he's gone through, and some of them have mechanical benefits. And in fact, probably almost all of them have mechanical benefits. Some of them have disadvantages as well. But they're all set for a particular environment. They are built for a purpose. So it must have taken a long time to do all of this. Drugs and medical equipment. I had to laugh when I saw this. And so we've got trance drugs, psi blocking pills, oxygas, salves, first aid kits, Helo Ray, a device for healing you, of course, and various other things. Truth serum. There's always torture involved at some point. If you're dealing with Flash Gordon, there's going to be torture. Okay, so you get ready for that. So what do we got here? When your psionics are described, generally players want something OP on steroids. Yes, yes, I'm aware. That's that's often the case, but that's the case with everything, is it not? Noko Mary, hello, how are you? Just downloaded it. You never know. Seems promising. Although I think I'd need to actually read the comics to get the flavor going. Look, go watch the old TV series. Go watch the old TV series. Go watch the movie. They're pretty good at sort of giving you an idea of what it's like in terms of that campaign setting. So if you're really, you want to get away from vanilla fantasy, you can, because this is using the 5e system and all the bits and pieces are here. So charging power crystals, hand weapons, firearms are included, and yes, there are a few firearms in here. The atom firing pistol, the atom firing rifle, bent ray auto atoms, electro rifles, shotguns, flamethrowers, heat guns, you name it. You can actually you've got a gun that rusts stuff. So atomic guns and rusting stuff, okay? Acid guns if you want to melt somebody's face off. Nets, and it goes on and on. Grenades, yes, you want to blow stuff up, you can do that. Sleeping guns, you can actually shoot somebody with a gun that puts them to sleep. There's a lot of really cool ideas here. And then you got your standard guns, your sort of gunpowder, pistol, rifle, shotgun, and your Tommy gun. Things that are sort of fit the time and yeah. Now animals, would you believe it? You can ride around on an animal. And again, a lot of the artwork is taken directly from comic books. But I like the fact that they have Ronnie's given you enough to get the job done. Like enough to say, yep, you can ride this. And almost all of them are based off the riding horse. There is a seahorse. You can ride around on a seahorse. There's a horned horse. So basically this is just a horse. It's kind of like riding around on a unicorn. If you can ride around on a big bird if you wanted to. We have a wolf, so a wolf-like character, the Toruk. Yeah, so a lot of different types of mounts. Snowbirds. These are things that aren't really intended to be overpowered. And he's done it really simply. What he's just said is just referred to the creature. So as long as you have the monster manual and the player's handbook, you'll probably be fine. Okay, and then there's a few tables at the back going through all your gear, so you have all the information like the weight, the cost, how many shots, how much damage, what's the range of those weapons. That's all there. So all the ray guns and all the stuff that he talks about, and that's it. That's a simple. Like Ronnie hasn't gone out of his way to sort of get too silly about this. It's 38 pages is pretty easy to get into, sort of chew on, and frankly, I think everything that you need there is there to get the job done, in my opinion. What's this? Check YouTube for all the Flash Gordon serials. Yes, YouTube will have all the Flash Gordon serials on it, I'm pretty sure. Might take a bit of searching. Yeah, so YouTube. So for those of you who are struggling and trying to find stuff on YouTube, I want to warn you now that in the past, the YouTube search engine has been very poor. It will give you usually the first 3 or 4 videos it lists will be related to your search. After that, it's a goddamn mess. It's gotten worse now. You're probably not going to find what you're looking for. What you probably want to go and do is you want to go and use Google. Google has unfortunately gotten worse too. Okay? Something they've done with the engine or the AI has kind of messed things up. And I don't know if they're fixing it or they've done this deliberately. They'll have some rationale for it. So your best bet for finding anything is just Google Flash Gordon. Okay, don't use YouTube. The search engine is a complete waste of your time. It's fucking useless. Okay, absolutely fucking useless. But YouTube, and then select videos, and it should give you the serials. That's the best way to find that stuff. Hello ET Base, how are you? Hello friend and all. Does it have any Mudmen as a player? No, there's no Mudman. I'm sorry about that. I don't think there was in the document. I will have a quick look, but I'm pretty sure it didn't. It doesn't look. This doesn't create. This doesn't offer like a monster manual too. If you're thinking you're going to get monsters in here, no, it doesn't work like that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure the Mudman is not on the list of options. I don't think he built that. Where is it? Races. No, the Mudman's not included. Sorry, buddy. It's not there. What's this? No silliness is disappointing since Flash Gordon really is silly. Yes, Flash Gordon is not really intended to be taken too seriously. Flash Gordon is light. It's light pop culture, just a lot older than people are used to. You know, way back when it was the thing. Its age is gone, but I really like the fact that somebody created it. I think it's cool. Now, what else was I going to say? I think that was everything I was going to say. Yes. So, jumping out of here. So, looking forward to the future. Hopefully more than a few of you are looking forward to the future. I have not decided just yet what is going to be the next free fan-made supplement that I cover, but I will. We'll be covering a new one in the future for those of you who want to spread your legs. No, wrong terminology. Forget that one. Spread your horizons. How did that come out of my mouth? Talk about a slip of the tongue. Anyway, I have now I'm going to cross off Flash Gordon off my list of free fan-made stuff that I need to cover. Flash Gordon has been done. Good news, people. Good news. And we will be moving on in the future to something else. Something that have I done this? Yes. That's good. All right, I'm just checking out. Okay, cool. So I haven't decided just yet what I would like to treat you to. Again, if you go onto Patreon, you can download the document that has 16, I think is at least 16? Yes, 16 different very popular IPs that have been turned into 5e supplements that are completely compatible with 5e. Okay, so if you wanted to be able to still play 5e but play in a different setting without creating the setting for yourself, and doing all that work, and you want somebody else to do all that work, it does exist. And all you got to do is go to Patreon, pay $1 a month, or just pay $1 and then download it, and then stop your Patreon stuff. You know, that's the easiest way to get all of it. Otherwise, you're gonna have to wait. I'm gonna spread this out over many months. There's quite a lot to cover. How's it going? Prepare, Cook, and Survive. There's a good free heist adventure. I'll post it on Discord. That's fine. Sounds like a plan. I'm going to be live again today. We're going to be building a Shadow Dark character on Wally DM's channel with a bunch of awesome people. You may know them, you may not. Some of you are probably familiar with AJ Pickett. I'm sure a few of you are familiar with HowtoRPG, because that's me. Wally DM, my buddy Wally. You're probably familiar with Wally DM if you've been on my channel as well. And if you're not, you will be very shortly, because he's going to be going live in less than an hour and 20 minutes, I would say. We're going to have Tabletop Bob, he's going to be leading the charge for our session 0. And then the following time we come back, we're going to do a one-shot. Although I think Tabletop Bob may be trying to do a scenario today as well. We have Flute Sloot, Jordan from Flute Sloot will be joining us. And we have DM Josh, or Dungeon Master Josh. Josh is a nice enough guy. Met him a few times. Going to have a good old time. We will do our very best to make you laugh to the point that you piss your pants. If I can do that, we've achieved something. Okay, I will try very hard. But for the future, in terms of what free fan-made resources out there that are pretty good that you could download and access, what do we look at the future? Well, I'm still considering doing the World of Avatar. This is the last Airbender 5e compatible one. I may do that one. League of Legends, League of Legends has a campaign book, so it'll happen. I just don't know if I'll do it straight away. I might leave that a little longer. I know there's been I think there's at least one patron who's asked me Mass Effect 5e, because there's a Mass Effect 5e. So I'm tempted. I'm holding off on Star Wars 5e because it's quite extensive. It's massive. Like, there's 4 books. So the problem with that is I think maybe I've oversaturated my channel with Star Wars stuff because the interest in it seems to have dropped off a little bit. So I might bring that back a little bit later on. Wands and Wizards, which is the Harry Potter 5e adaptation. Yeah, I don't know. It'll happen at some point. That's coming in the future. Final Fantasy 5e. Super Mario Brothers. I was going to do Super Mario Brothers because of the movie, but I don't know. It didn't seem like anybody was that interested when I put the poll up. And I'm aware the polls don't always go out to the people who actually watch my live streams or my channel, so that doesn't really say very much. Stranger Worlds, Sonic the Hedgehog, the 5e compatible stuff. It's probably going to be a way off. Dragon Ball Z 5e. Again, although it involves superpowered monks, it's not really my thing, but we will do it eventually. Warhammer 40,000, the 5e supplement. There's quite a few of those. Surprisingly, I wasn't expecting there to be quite so many, but there are. There's also My Little Pony, which is the Planeshift Equestria, which for those of you who have kids will probably find very useful, but I know there's a lot of people who'll be turned off by that. And then we have Elder Scrolls. I know one of the patrons has asked me to do the Elder Scrolls 5e stuff, and then the World of Warcraft 5e. But I've been reading through this. So this was sent to me by Prepare, Cook, and Survive, I believe. So I'm right. Can I just say, it's a small book, but it's actually taken me a long time to process what I'm looking at, okay? Honestly, it's taking me a long time. I'm hoping that by the hopefully next week, not going to guarantee it, but hopefully next week, I'm able to present this to you. That's what I would like to do, is I would like to be able to present it to you next week on Friday, the day that I do this sort of stuff. But, again, I'm still going to try to get my head around this because it's been a journey, can I just say? Like, this has been Morkbork or Merkbork or Merkbergok or whatever the heck it's supposed to, however it's supposed to be pronounced. It is not like a game that I've seen before. I don't know whether to cry, laugh, or just scream in agony going through this thing, but it's coming in the future. And since Professor Dungeon Master had said, I'll go over more rule systems and more role-playing games that aren't related to D&D, which I was doing anyway. I suppose maybe I'll save it for July if I can't get my head around it by next week. But yes. So those are the things you can look forward to. Some nutty stuff. I'll tell you that now. And I'm about to go down the road and pick up a new book, and I don't know what it is, but I think it might be Ultramodern 5. All of the above. you're going to get it all eventually. It's all going to, it just take a little time to get through. So I'll put in the link to the live stream I'm going to be on very shortly. So I'm going to go down the road and see if Ultramodern 5 is waiting for me at the post office. And yeah, I will see all of you in about an hour, roughly, if you are available. And if you're not, you're not. And thank you for taking part in the poll. I see a few people have put their poll in there. Just watching and yes. So yeah. What a time it's going to be. I have to say, I'm really kind of enjoying doing this, even if hardly anybody watches it. I'm kind of enjoying doing this sort of stuff a lot more. I much prefer the idea of supporting third party and people who have to make stuff for free and they don't get paid. The free stuff is really good. Like the people who are making stuff that is completely free that nobody else has sort of considered doing and they're not getting any compensation. Man, you guys are awesome. Really impressed. I just want to get your stuff out there so people can see it. Anyway, I'm done. So big thank you for everybody who watched. Thank you for the support patrons. Thank you for those people in chat who responded to the poll, have been chatting with me. So Vorth, Prepare, Cook and Survive, F Hubber, thanks Fred, ET Base, Nokia Mary, and Shiner81. I think that was, Michael was here. Thank you all of you for being here and commenting. I do appreciate it. It does help. It means that I don't feel like I'm alone and talking just to myself, which I always hate doing. So wherever you are in the world, whether it be the morning, the afternoon, the night, or the wee early morning, please look after yourself, your family, and your friends. Be nice to your neighbours, as long as they aren't Mongos who look a lot like Ming the Merciless. If your neighbour looks like Ming the Merciless, run for the hills. Any case, thank you, and hey, till next time, keep rolling those 20s.